The climax of one of the greatest battles in the history of Dragon Ball seems to be drawing upon us soon as an epic war in another universe takes place. Dragon Ball Super has, of course, wrapped up the final details surrounding Moro pretty much, along with a brand new arc that's launched as of December 20th, including the introduction of a brand new character as well. While a new dawn of Dragon Ball is right around the corner really, there are still so many unanswered questions in the storylines that already exist within the multiverse. My favorite example of such an open-ended issue that I'm sure we would all love to see continued in the future is, of course, another appearance from Broly and our friends on Vampa. On another note, Universe 11 has become very acquainted with Goku as well. Jiren as well as Broly have been the two most recent opponents for Goku, and it's pretty safe to say that Son Goku has effectively worked his magic and changed both of these warriors for the better. Dragon Ball Super Jiren vs Broly by Monty Black and Jordan Lee recently left off in Chapter 8, where Jiren and Broly have both seemed to reach even newer heights with their own individual powers. Of course, no one other than Goku would even think of setting something like this up, and that's exactly what happened. After seeing the potential that Broly had, and being a Saiyan like himself as well, Goku couldn't help but to take Broly under his wing, and the two had begun training together quite some time ago after the end of the Moro fight. Fighting Broly himself day in and day out, however, wouldn't really show Goku just how much progress he's really made. So to truly test the depths of Broly's trained abilities, Goku, with the help of the Grand Priest, arranged a match between he and Universe 11's own Jiren. Right before the match begins, however, the Grand Priest decides to kind of raise the stakes and consider this a death match now. With the loser now being permanently erased to the point where the Super Dragon Balls will even have no effect, both Broly and Jiren are forced to go all out just to ensure their own lives now. In a matter of moments, Jiren's overwhelming power, even in the face of Broly's unending rage, stunts the Saiyan, causing Broly to ascend through the levels far past anything he'd achieved before and transform into a legendary Super Saiyan 3. Jiren himself, however, had been doing his fair share of training as well since the end of the tournament. Jiren demonstrates that since the Tournament of Power and his iconic battle with Goku, he too has learned control over Ultra Instinct and shows this against Broly as the two continue their battle. Even at the height of his powers, Broly is eventually overwhelmed by Ultra Instinct Jiren and silenced, but before the finishing blow can be landed, Goku interrupts the fight. Even in the presence of the Grand Priest and the Omni King, Goku would rather save his friend and risk consequence, but the gods do allow it. Once again, in a battle of epic proportions, Goku and Jiren clash once again, this time with the both of them being in Ultra Instinct. Even though they both mastered Ultra Instinct, Goku proves to still somehow just be in a league of his own, as even though Jiren seems to be able to get in, Goku is still just so much stronger. And after a lengthy speech for Jiren, this is when he finally does it. Goku merges the forces of Super Saiyan and Ultra Instinct into a singular form, and this is enough on one attack to level Jiren and take him completely out of his form. Once Broly regains consciousness, however, and sees the impossible feats that Goku has accomplished before him now, he remembers back to the conversations they had during training and how Goku told Broly how special his own power was, and this transcended into something amazing. This is when Broly gets a sense of being from Chile and finally learns control over his rage, and upon calming his spirit and realizing what the true meaning of growth is, Broly transcends into the legendary Super Saiyan God. With Broly now back to full power, far greater than ever before in fact in his legendary God form, there's only one thing left to do. The battle to ultimately decide the fate and future of these two warriors must go on, so Goku decides to heal Jiren as well after he's forced to lay before Goku, being scolded by his actions and watching Broly ascend for overcoming such raw emotions. Jiren has also learned a very valuable lesson about not only himself, but what the true meaning of growth is as well, as his power swells within him even more, and with Jiren ascending as well into his own unique form, Broly vs Jiren can now commence with two of the strongest beings to ever exist, battling just for the love of martial arts and growing together. I know you guys have been waiting on edge for the next chapter of Broly vs Jiren, so be sure to drop both Monty and Jordan a follow on Twitter, as both of their Twitter links will be down below in the description box. If you guys haven't already, be sure to have those notifications on by clicking the bell icon down below to never miss a single upload as soon as they go live. And if you've been enjoying all of the anime content recently, consider leaving a like on this video as well. It really helps out a ton. Be sure to follow on both Twitch and Twitter to stay up with me and all anime related content, guys. But without further ado, Jiren has concentrated his energy, which matches that of a supernova, Whis says, as he looks on amazed at these two warriors who have achieved legendary heights, the likes of which the gods themselves will be proud of. Supernova Jiren and Broly stand before each other before their final engagement begins, as Whis confirms that Jiren has now basically become the equivalent of a neutron star. This is the energy he's earned through the ages from intense training and many battles, Margarita says, as Jiren's eyes exude the heat of his aura. This seems much more of an appropriate power for Jiren, Whis says, laughing. Goku, you impress me more and more all the time, he says, as Goku just smirks. This is when the Grand Priest cuts in, reminding everyone that these two are still on the clock. There are still 5 minutes remaining, he says. Let's not waste any more time and commence. Broly and Jiren prepare for battle once more, with both of them assuming their fighting stances, the scars from this very battle apparent on both of their bodies, but it all comes down to this now. As they both charge at one another, the battle begins as Broly attacks Jiren with a flurry of punches to test his speed, to which Jiren seems to dodge them all pretty easily. Jiren and Broly are colliding at a speed that rivals Mastered Ultra Instinct and the gods themselves as they go back and forth, neither really gaining the upper hand on the other. The look of just sheer determination, but this warm calmness these two are displaying, is resulting into a battle that threatens to shatter the very dimension of reality, as Broly and Jiren slip into a realm between dimensions due to their devastating power. Neither Jiren nor Broly can help but smile as they both admire what they've done and just how far they've come in this one battle alone, as they both raise their hands in the air for their next attacks. Broly prepares a planet-sized attack akin to that one he used against Goku in the Super Broly movie, as a huge green sphere of energy forms over his head. Jiren, however, looks to match every bit of his attack as he forms a searing red and orange supernova-sized attack, equal to Broly's in every way. We must watch the fight elsewhere, the Grand Priest says, with the scale of these two attacks continuing to grow. It's too dangerous to stay here. As both Broly and Jiren release their devastating full power attacks in the form of enormous ki spheres, the Grand Priest shields the spectators and, in an instant, teleports them all away to a much safer location. Once the two attacks collide, the collision between these two mammoth blasts causes a nuclear explosion within the galaxy and pretty much erases everything in sight in a blinding flash of light. The blast continues to devastate this entire half of the universe. However, Goku as well as the rest of the spectators are able to safely arrive somewhere far off in Universe 11. Once arriving in Universe 11, the spectators appear on a planet very familiar looking. Welcome, Lord Belmod, and welcome guests of the 7th universe, the Supreme Kai says. The fight was, starting to get hectic, Belmod admits, so our Lord Grand Priest thought it would be ideal to come here. Say, where can we keep watching the fight though, Goku asks, to which the Supreme Kai replies, right this way. This is when we cut to a man standing with a halo in another area of Supreme Kai's world. I didn't expect to see you here of all people, Velmont says, as he looks shocked to see this guy as well. Whoa, you must be Gishin, Goku says, as he's heard much about this guy apparently. Glad they let you watch the fight like I asked. You look strong. I am, Gishi replies. It's an honor to meet you, Son Goku. I want to thank you for reminding Jiren of what's really important and allowing me to watch this fight. I heard Jiren had learned his lesson in the Tournament of Power and I wanted to see that myself, but it looks like his progress in power and your ability to bounce back from near death had, in a sense, spoiled him. But when you protected Broly, it reminded me of the day I protected my favorite student from danger. I'm sure Jiren remembered that too. As we cut back to being able to spectate, Jiren awaits Broly's next move as Broly again begins to concentrate an enormous amount of ki between his hands that's causing an enormous ray of light to overtake the space around him. Broly releases a gigantic ki wave from his hands that resembles a massive version of a Kamehameha almost, but this is when Jiren does something absolutely incredible. Once Goku had unlocked Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power, Jiren could no longer ignore him. He was forced to recognize another being with immeasurable power, and after watching Goku's battles, he takes another page from his book. Jiren creates a ki wall of his own, and as Broly's beam approaches, similarly to how Goku did against Kefla, he skates down the beam to the shock of Broly and in an instant flips over the beam and appears over him. Jiren's energy grows hotter and hotter, and his next attack takes the shape of almost a flaming hawk as he delivers a devastating punch to Broly that stuns him and sends him soaring. This attack also seems to come with an even more blinding level of speed as Jiren hawks down Broly, who's still flying through the air. Broly bounces back, however, and catches Jiren as Jiren stops, surprised that his attack seems ineffective still. Broly launches himself back at Jiren with a powerful punch of his own, hitting Jiren square in the gut and almost bringing him to his knees, stunning him. Jiren attempts to fight through this attack, but Broly sends him flying backwards, paralyzing him in mid-air with his attack. This is when Broly takes a page out of his epic battle with Gogeta and uses the same near finishing move that was used on him as he raises his arms into the air, lifting the blast containing Jiren higher and higher and detonating it along the way, causing a beam that can be seen in space many miles long. Back at the Supreme Kai's planet in Universe 11, everyone is in awe at just the scale of this battle even at this moment, but Chile only wishes for Broly's survival, and Velmad, the same for Jiren. Goku assures him not to worry though, as he seems to have some type of faith in a good outcome, as Gishi watches the fight as well. Back in space, Broly stands before the devastation his last attack caused, however still knowing that Jiren is out there, he waits. "This is getting fun," he says, turning around. "You're strong." Behind him, Jiren, although battered from that last attack, hasn't really dipped in power at all, as well as Broly throughout this fight, as he tells him he's just getting started. This is when Broly raises a hand above him, with Jiren taking notice of this as well. He creates a Soul Punisher and dashes at Jiren at full speed, almost as if using it like a Rasengan, and I thought that was really cool. He lunges at Jiren, but Jiren doesn't break focus at all and actually uses his own hand to collide with Broly's attack. Jiren, this was pretty beast by Jiren right here. He grabs the orb right in Broly's hand as Broly is stunned at Jiren's power and determination, and with Jiren overflowing with power, he slams shut Broly's hand, shattering the attack. Broly attempts to use his other hand to attack Jiren, but Jiren locks grips with him, the two now engaging in pretty much a game of mercy to see who's stronger. Jiren's glare attempts to wear down Broly as he's locked in his grasp, as Gishi says that it seems Jiren's love of fighting has finally become as pure as Goku's. As they spectate the battle with the two engaged in a death grip, he says that Jiren has finally become truly pure of both heart and mind. With the two continuing to clash, Jiren's glare along with Broly's endless power, along with the immediate power struggle, begin to shatter reality again. Jiren looks like he's starting to waver a little bit, however Broly maintains his calm spirit, and this is when a huge explosion begins to become imminent. Broly's power soars rapidly as his aura becomes more and more intense by the second, and this is when Whis says that they may actually have a problem now. Broly's concentrated power is expanding at an extreme rate, he says, and to compete with that, Jiren is concentrating his energy more and more. If Broly's energy comes into contact with Jiren's right now, it'll be the equivalent of a Big Bang, so to speak. There will be enough energy from that one explosion alone to fill an entire universe, or maybe even beyond. Beer scoffs. Only a god could withstand that much power and not suffer the consequences themselves. The explosion may wipe out all 12 universes and the very fabric of space and time, he says, worrying. This is when the spectators begin to lose it as well, as not only did nobody know that this would turn into a death match, but now the very multiverse is in danger of exploding as Goku's jaw drops. Well, Goku, Beerus says, it looks like you pushed your students a bit too far. Goku begs Zeno to stop the battle and just call it a draw before the very realm of everything becomes collateral, but the Grand Priest denies, saying that the fight continues and if need be, he'll contain the blast himself. I suggest you follow your own advice, Goku, and stop worrying, he says. Jiren and Broly launch themselves at one another one final time, both at the very pinnacle of might respectively, with everything riding on this final punch. In an absolutely piercing crack, Broly's fist rips cleanly through Jiren's torso, but Jiren's fist meets Broly with the same fate, piercing directly through the Saiyan. Both fighters shriek in agony with their nuclear powers colliding, causing an explosion that begins to wipe out space faster than the speed of light. The Grand Priest immediately takes action as the explosion threatens to grow, as he admits that a battle that produces this much energy is rare indeed, but he goes on to activate its power and contain the space that they fought in. As the Grand Priest holds out an orb before him, the fate of Broly and Jiren still seems to be a mystery, as the only thing left of their battle seems to be the galaxy itself, with the Grand Priest commenting, "Most satisfactory." But what really happens if you try to contain the Big Bang like that? What do you guys think happened? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments what you guys think the outcome of this battle will be, and don't forget to have those notifications turned on so you don't miss the next chapter of Dragon Ball Super Jiren vs. Broly.